And welcome back to bonding time. It's been a while, guys.
It
Has been.
has,
Yeah.
it has. Mm,
How are you doing?
been months.
We're doing good. We ready for our regular introductions?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna lead it off. My name is Patrick. Ramon Patrick.
The name Greenwich, Christopher Greenwich.
Hutchinson, David Hutchinson.
And I am just John.
Oh,
I love it. I love
Consistency
it.
is key, guys. Consistency is key. So, a license to kill. The next installment. It's been a while. I feel like if you guys were running from this review, what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, opening thoughts. I think this is a really good Bond movie. I like it. The first time I watched it, I was not a fan of this or Timothy Dalton, but upon a second watch, I love the ruthlessness and the seriousness and the gore in this movie. It makes it so gritty. That's the type of Bond I like. So, and I thought Timothy Dalton was really good in this. And I mean, the opening scene, dude, like, um, where what Bond is like in an airplane and they're chasing the drug lord and they capture his, Bond like what jumps out of his plane down onto the bad guy's airplane and you know,
Right.
connects everything. That was a really excellent stunt. So I mean, that was a great way to open this movie.
Did
yeah,
you?
since we're appointed this one.
So when you were watching it, right? You didn't think that that was over the top at all. You didn't think that that
Oh,
was.
oh,
Oh,
for
it's
sure. I
Bonds.
mean,
It's Bonds, definitely.
no, not as over the top as some of the other shit we've seen in like Roger Moore movies. Like,
Spaceships
where
blowing up spaceships.
exactly, or an iceberg that's really a submarine or some shit, like, or him skiing with one ski and Beach Boys playing. Like, this one wasn't as ridiculous as what we've seen.
I I agree. I'll just add this one point to it. As with all the Timothy Dalton movies coming up, I just miss the Bond lines. I just miss the lines.
Oh,
Like
child.
after that, like give me a fishing reference, give me something. But yeah.
So, what were your opening thoughts from one? Anything
Um,
else?
same views, Chris. Originally I watched it. Wasn't really that much of a fan. Upon second watch, this is definitely a good foray. Timothy Dawson's Bond is very different to all the others, in my opinion. And this gritty one shows some he shows some chops for sure.
Cool. And you,
But
Dave?
as with all the others, they're missing bonds. They're missing some Bond lines.
Actually,
I liked the opening a lot. Overall, I've always liked this
Wait,
movie.
you liked the opening a lot?
Yeah, I thought the opening was great, dude. Don't know if you recognize this, but both the scene where the truck goes crashes underneath and the scene with the plane, those were both referenced in the Dark Knight trilogy. And because Christopher
yeah.
Nolan is a huge James Bond fan,
Hmm.
and so it's kind of funny going back and seeing this. And I actually just rewatched the Dark Knight trilogy, and so the opening scene from The Dark Knight Rises is pretty much the opening scene of License to Kill.
I genuinely don't know why would you reference this movie. Out of like, there's lots of Bond movies.
Because this movie's awesome. Anyway,
That's debatable.
So
I feel like if we're gonna debate that.
Oh, I think we are. So the I liked the opening. I thought it was good. I like it involved Felix, so it has like a personal touch to it. Yeah, it was over the top, but not crazy over the top. I thought this movie balanced it well. Has some really cool stunts in the opening, and the opening song. I never used to like the opening song, but for some reason now it's really grown on me, and now it's one of my favorites. And
That's a good point.
just in general, like I've always liked this movie. I would have said before, License to Kill was always one of my favorite ones, and Living Daylights wasn't. But now I because in the last review, I really liked the Living Daylights, and I feel the Living Daylights stepped up, and License to Kill kind of just stayed where it was. But I still really enjoy this movie. So, yeah.
Interesting. Um, I opening thoughts. This movie was better than I expected it to be. But the opening itself was rough. From the opening, I was like, I am not going to enjoy this movie. It was just too much. There's too much going on. They're on their way to Felix's wedding.
Yeah.
They're on their way to Felix's wedding, but you're gonna go stop a drug lord? Like, dude, no. What is
That's
this?
the
No.
biggest fish that they've been looking for. Like,
Yeah, I
can
know,
understand.
but like so for me, genuinely, something like this should have been planned better. And part of that is why I'm like, this is why it all went awry so easily, you fucking idiots. Annoyed the crap out of me. They're on their way to Felix's wedding and they like stop to go bust this drug lord and they make it in time back for the wedding. Like that was if they didn't have that included, if they had the drug bust and then the wedding, I would have been like, cool. Just the way that they storylined it annoyed me. It just made me. I was just like, this movie is already starting off to be too extra, and I was already exhausted. To get a little bit deeper into the opening, so like I wasn't a fan of the opening scene. I thought the stunts were cool, and that's the thing. They started off so like going for it. They're just 100% like crazy story, crazy stunts. I did enjoy the stunts. That was at least entertaining. But I did not enjoy the opening scene and the opening credits. Just saying, like, I didn't like the opening song.
What?
Yeah, I was listening to it, and who was it? Tina Turner,
Gladys Knight.
Gladys Knight, right? And I was just like, I was kind of listening to it, and I was like, it wasn't. It just felt very dated. From there, the movie just felt super 80s, late 80s, but it still felt super 80s, and it felt like if it was just dating itself. And the opening credits were just like a throwaway for me. Such a throwaway. What did you think about the opening credits and song, Ramon?
The song was just okay for me. Grew on me on second watch. Opening, I will agree with you. It's a throwaway opening.
Yeah.
It hasn't gotten any better.
It felt like if they just threw in everything. Like it wasn't just like one thing and one concept and they just went with it. It was just like everything. It was like girls, crazy views, song, and like I don't know. It was too much. It wasn't coherent enough for me. But then again, I didn't like. I kind of looked at it and then I like looked off.
Nah, that song is great, man. Gladys Knight. That's up there with like some of the best in the series, man. It's a very dramatic song.
It's very dramatic, right?
Perfect.
But this puts it in perspective, right? We're talking about this, and I remember not liking it, and I just remember her like singing loudly, but I don't actually remember the song. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's one of the best ones. I think it's a very underrated song. I would say. I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, but I think "License to Kill" is definitely an underrated Bond song.
The overall movie or the song?
The song.
All right. So, what do you think about the Bond girl? Who is the Bond girl?
Bam, I think is her name. Bam. I mean, she's okay.
Pam, not Bam.
Wait, what? Bam?
It's Pam.
Pam.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was Bam. What? Pam, sorry.
Oh shit.
Pam, I don't really remember much about Pam, honestly. I mean, I think when we get introduced to her, in the beginning, she's like really tough, serious, seems like somebody who's very capable of handling herself and, assisting Bond instead of, being the damsel in distress, which I think she does throughout the movie. Like she assists Bond throughout. So, I mean, I like that about her. And she was very attractive. Woo, my God.
And she looks better with short hair.
Yeah.
And when she gets the haircut, it's like, whoa.
I
Hello.
That trick is fine. But And I say this a lot. I mean, I don't know if she was very memorable. I don't really remember a lot about her, but I did
Agree
like
with you
that
there.
she was very,
Yeah.
she seemed very independent, and I do like that. She wasn't like damsel in distress, you know.
Yeah.
What'd you think, Dave?
I always remember her. I think it's because of the short hair, and
Right.
I always remember her because of the short hair. Before, when you first get introduced to her, I was like, kind of, who's that? Like, she doesn't look. This sounds weird. I think it's by design because you first see her with short hair at the casino. But I liked her. I think she's the Bond girl. I think Lupe, who is Sanchez's girlfriend, is an interesting character too. But I think
Mhm.
Pam is definitely the Bond girl. And I think that she is the first American Bond girl I actually like, because
Oh, yeah.
some of the Bond girls in the past, like I'm thinking, I think it can't even remember her name. I think the worst one is the one in Diamonds Are Forever. She was, I think, the first American. She was terrible. Then there's Goodnight in Man with the Golden Gun. She's American. Oh wait, no,
First
she was
American.
British, wasn't she?
Was she British?
I think so.
British.
I think For Your Eyes Only had an
No, I
American one.
feel like if she was American. I mean, I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
I think that she
Anyway,
was American.
all of the American ones I've hated. This
Yeah.
one, I like her. She's an American. You can tell she's American. She's playing an American, and I don't hate her. She's awesome,
No,
Right.
and
no.
she does in terms of like contributing to the helping Bond out. She does save his life later in the movie. Although she takes a while to do it, he's like, "Will you shut that damn thing off?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but she does. I mean, compare
But
that
she does,
to the
and he
blonde
doesn't
girl.
die.
Exactly. Compare that to the blonde girl in the last movie when she
Shoot
was
it
flying
off. Help me.
the
Yeah.
plane and almost flew them into a mountain. So I mean, in this one, you see Pam actually does fly a
Mm.
plane, so she can handle herself. I think Timothy Dalton stepped up in his second movie in terms of upgrading his Bond girl. So yeah, I liked her a lot.
What do you think, Ramon?
I'll agree. I like the dichotomy of both Bond girls this time because for a good set of the movie, it could have gone either way from what it was looking like.
Yeah.
I'm more of a fan of Lupe. You missed out Bond, but hey. And even she wasn't that much of a damsel in distress either. So I was impressed. But Pam is definitely the Bond girl for me.
Yeah.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, Bouvier is definitely the Bond girl. Funny thing, I didn't know that her first name was Pam. I genuinely
That's the
throughout the
movie.
movie,
Yep.
and I didn't know what Lupe's name was either. Like, I was just like Sanchez's girlfriend. I did not know her name. It's pretty sad, but yeah, she's what's the word that I'm looking for? She is okay. She does the job. She gets the job done. There's I didn't particularly like her, but I definitely did not dislike her. So that's something. I think the women in this movie were say used sounds bad, but like they were good characters. Like they,
Mm.
did their job, and as Bond's assistant, she did her job, and she, even gave him a little bit like, "Oh, why can't you be my assistant?" And they had that little bit of, um,
Banter.
yeah, a little bit of banter. It was good enough. Lupe, I liked Lupe. So I don't know if you guys recognize, but there are two people from Mortal Kombat in this movie, and
Yeah.
I was just happy to see her. I
God,
was just like, yeah,
yeah, dude.
Okay.
That was a nice little
yeah.
little
I
fun
mean,
fact right there for you.
I liked her just because of that. I liked her just based off of the last movie, the other movie that I've seen her in. Had nothing to do with this movie whatsoever.
Who was in Mortal Kombat? Pam?
No,
Lupe,
Yeah.
no,
Lupe.
Oh,
It
Lupe,
was Katana.
and the Asian guy behind Bond in your
The Chinese
backdrop.
secret.
oh,
Secret
nice.
Is he?
Okay.
And so you know what? It's weird because they say Chinese, but I don't know. the ninja thing. I don't know. It was weird. Yeah, it was
Made you
weird.
think Japanese.
I think he said, yeah, it made me feel Japanese. It was very.
Wow.
You said Hong Kong, and I guess
Mm.
Hong Kong's a little bit different, but like it just did not feel very Chinese at first.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Pam was cool. What I did like about her character is that I feel as if her character had a not like a full story, but she was definitely a good supporting cast. She moved things along. Bond kept telling her to leave, and she like did not stop. She said one line that really like hit home for me, where we thought that she might have been a traitor, and he was kind of attacking her. Then she looked at him and she was something along the lines of, this goes further than a personal vendetta, you know? And I like that. I like that she had him in check, and it wasn't like a big moment or anything, but she was definitely like, dude, you got to remember, like, yeah, you're all about Felix, like getting revenge for Felix, but there's a lot more going on here than that. And that kind of gave me perspective over the movie and made it a lot more like there's more at stake here, because considering the stakes for the other movies, there weren't that much other than a personal vendetta and drugs around the world.
Yeah.
And I like that about her. She gave me that. But what do you guys think about the bad guy? What do you think about Sanchez, Dave?
Before you go on to there, I just want to say about Lupe, I kind of thought she was just a pretty face. Like, she is absolutely gorgeous, one of the prettiest Bond women in the series, but I mean, I didn't think she was much more than a pretty face, unfortunately.
No, she never.
She was gonna watch her plan. She was gonna her plan. That was my
Right.
view.
So I agree.
If you want to be the pretty face, and that was what she was, that was her intention. She did it well, and she got her own way whenever she wanted.
And she did help out
much more than that.
throughout the movie. She did contribute. Yeah.
She did. So what I liked about her is that she actually reminds me of like the old stereotypical woman in terms of like, it's just to endure. Get yours, but you don't have to be strong-handed about it. Just endure and you will get what is coming to you, right? When he was like, oh, you can get away from here. And then she was like, why would I? Oh, you can go back to where you're from. And she was like, why would I want to go back there? It took me 15 years to get out. Like, I'm not leaving all this money behind. That's not part of. I might leave here, but I'm going to leave here for more money. I'm not going to leave here.
And she does do that at the end of the movie.
Exactly. So I'm like, more power to you, dog. Like, she got exactly what she wanted. I like that about her. I see where you're coming from, Chris, but that's the thing, right? Lupe is a little bit ambiguous in terms of she was never a good guy. She was the type of person that's just out for herself. Like, if you line up with her getting what she wanted, great. If you do not, well, then no. After Sanchez beats her in the beginning, after she gets reprimanded, she didn't like.
That's the thing. Like, this is what she does. Like, she gets what she wants. So
exactly.
They made it clear this was the first time she did it. It's not going to be the last. Like, exactly. she was enjoying her time the way she wanted.
Literally.
I wouldn't say a pretty face. I would say a professional pretty face on her own time.
Right. And you know what I liked about her? She wasn't motivated by anybody else, right? I could tell, well, what I got from her character was 100% like, she could leave, but she knows that she's leaving for nothing, so she's not going to leave. And it wasn't like, oh, she's being forced to stay here. No, she chose to stay there, but she has her own motivation, and I like that about her. She was of her own mind, as opposed to, oh, I'm being forced to be here. Nobody forced her to be there. If Bond,
not even I'm forced to be there. Oh, I can't possibly leave. There's nothing else for me, or I can't do anything else. No, that was her choice, her decision.
Her choice, and she never acted like if it was different. She like talked to Bond and she was like, oh, we should do this, right? But when it was pretty obvious that Bond wasn't really paying her any mind, she was like, well, I'm not leaving this if you're not paying me any mind. Plus, you don't even got money, so I mean, there's no point here. But yeah, what do you guys think of Sanchez? Okay.
I'm gonna go first. I liked him.
Yeah.
For a low stakes Bond, perfect character. He was in control of what he was doing.
Right.
Had his henchmen even from the very beginning when he got captured and just sitting in his cell like, your $1 million bribes aren't working. All right, I'll make it 2.
Yeah.
Like he was very in control. And
Very.
he actually's got my Bond lines for this movie, by the way. Like he was very in control. He
Yeah.
was the witty one. Like I was impressed with him. He should have been. I would have been impressed if he was actually a bigger bad guy with higher stakes.
Right.
From even his dealing with his henchmen, the concept of loyalty. Yeah, I'm all here for that.
Dave?
So 10 points. I'm quite impressed.
Yeah, I liked Sanchez a lot. I think he is ruthless as hell. And I thought Dario was a cool henchman.
Yeah.
He had good charisma.
Yeah.
So I thought it was good. Actually, it's funny because there's the new person who's going to be the villain in No Time to Die, and for some reason I thought it was the same actor, but it's not. I don't know why I thought that. I don't know why I would think that either, because this movie is like 31 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, just rounding. I like the villains a lot. It's a very Miami Vice kind of Scarface feel, but I mean, because it's with the cartel and drugs and blah 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 blah. But nah.
I mean, that was the 80s, man.
Yeah, exactly. Typical 80s. But yeah, I thought he was great. He was ruthless. I would say if he was definitely one of the best villains in a sense, but he's just, I can't really put him as like one of the top Bond villains that Bond has ever faced. But I think how he was played and what he does, I think is brilliant. I think he's probably one of the most ruthless villains Bond has faced. But he wouldn't be one of my top villains or one of the most iconic villains either. But I definitely think he's one of the most ruthless.
Yeah. I think he's not iconic, but I think well-rounded, well played. He's a really good mix of ruthless and witty, intelligent, very and charismatic. I think he's a really good mix between charismatic and ruthless. And I thought he was a really good villain in this. I would put him like one of the highest in the series. Just because I don't know, the acting was just very convincing. Like I look at this guy and I'm like, wow, I actually believe you could really be a
led
drug
this
lord.
criminal organization. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
From the look of his face down to I don't know, just how suave he was. I was like, yeah, I believe you could control. Yeah, I believe he could control like a drug organization.
Yeah, for sure.
And and he's a grounded villain. Like I mean, it's not the first time we've seen drug lord in the Bond series, but I mean, it works when you want a grounded villain, and I like that. Yeah, nothing over the top, but I thought he was a really good villain.
I mean, I think we can all agree he was a showstopper here. He completely outshined Bond. Unfortunately, Timothy Dalton, like, I was more entertained whenever Sanchez was on screen. He looked like if he knew what he was about, he knew his plan. And his plan wasn't rocket science. It was, we make the drugs, we're gonna sell you the drugs. Cool, we're done here. You double cross me, I'm gonna kill you.
That's
yeah.
all.
You double cross me, we're gonna come up with an interesting way to get you the drugs. And you double cross me, I'm gonna kill you. And I really like that as well. Them setting up loyalty being so important to him, and that was just 100% where he was. Loyalty is important to me. You betray me, I'm gonna get you back. And simple works.
Yes.
He also, so there's a level of believability as well that you talked about, Chris. And yeah, I 100% bought it. Him and his henchman with Dario was really, really cool. I liked Dario a lot. I kind of wish that we saw more of Dario. And
I mean, there's nothing
It's-
special about Dario. It was just really, like you said,
but
he was just charismatic and the look of him,
yeah,
really, more so than
it's the same thing as Sanchez. It's just like every time they're on screen, you want more of that. Like they were well played
well
roles.
casted. Very well casted.
Casted well, yeah. Benicio del Toro is an excellent actor, though. Like I did not expect anything. Well, when I didn't remember he was in this movie, so like the minute that I saw him, I was like, oh, he's in this, and I was actually really surprised by the amount of people that I saw in this movie that I was like, oh, I didn't realize that they were in this, and that was great. It is a low stakes Bond, so he didn't
Yeah.
become iconic by any way. But as far as doing what he does, I mean, he was sadistic. I thought what was cool about him is that his plans were simple and his ways of killing people were relatively simple, but they're entertaining. You know, as far as the movie goes, it was entertaining, and I like that. Damn good damn. So we'll get to this later, but like, as far as a movie goes, he's entertaining. So Ramon, you said that that Sanchez had the one-liner. So start it up, buddy.
Truthfully, this is what should have happened at major points in the movie, in any Bond movie, when they found Felix and he left the note in his pocket. A little bit morbid, but still hilarious. Was it? He disagreed with something he ate. Sorry, that ate him.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, that was a
God.
good one. Yeah, I liked that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
he wasn't even there to deliver the line, and it just like fucking
But-
stung.
Yeah, you see how boss Sanchez was? I mean, come on, dog. That is so
Yeah.
fucking badass, dude.
That
So
is rude. That is rude. And if I
Mhm.
were Bond and I saw that on my best friend, I would be my best friend who had just been mauled. Yeah, I would have won his head as well.
But the major moments delivered well, like delivered at that point in time, and it didn't take away from it. Just like most Bond lines do, as long as they delivered witty or in a specific way, and that was done well.
Right. What about you, Chris?
yeah, I agree. You know, that was definitely the key line of the movie for me. Very well delivered. You know.
Seriously?
Yeah, dude. I mean,
That was the line
like,
of the movie.
I mean, you have Bond's like pretty much best friend their leg off, and this man's like cracked a corny ass joke in Bond's face. Like, oh my god, like that is just brilliant. You can just see the frustration on Bond's face. Like, I'm gonna fuck this guy up when I see it. Like, it's great, man.
True. It's true.
Dave, you got to give me something to work with, man.
So I'm trying to remember the lines. I mean, Timothy
Right.
Dalton's lines were
were
never
none.
was never the strong suit. I think Timothy Dalton plays Bond exceptionally well. By the way, I love his portrayal of Bond. I think it was ahead of its time as well, but it doesn't lead itself up for one-liners. Like, of all the Bonds, he is the least one-line person. But I do, so I'll give a ruthless line instead. So like when he when the guy that betrayed Felix is saying, you know, oh, there's a $500,000 in that suitcase, I'll split it with you. And Bond is just like, just picks it up, doesn't even look at it, just picks it up and is like, you keep it, you earned it, and throws it at him, and then he falls in the water. I thought that was pretty hardcore. And it's that's Timothy Dalton. And then he's like, calls him old buddy. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's true. I see you and raise you, my second favorite line in the movie, also by Sanchez. Was it when he was talking about, in the very beginning, when he was talking about the ex-boyfriend, when it was like, what, did he promise you his heart? And then, you know, he told Dario to go take it out. And the guy was like, oh, I'm not gonna betray you. Sorry, was it? It was Milton. Milton said, I'm not gonna betray you. Look what you did to the last guy. And he was like, oh, you like my Valentine? I thought it was hilarious as well.
Because of the heart. Because of the heart.
That's actually, that's pretty meta. Holy shit.
It takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit work. So there were lines in this movie. They were just not like you have to be paying attention. You have to be looking
To
for
get-
them
Yeah,
to get in order to get a line.
I appreciate that actually.
So
Yeah.
the note thing was my well, I mean like that was very early on in the movie, so that was my favorite line. But I also, I do that a lot where I give the bad guy or somebody else gets the line of the movie, and I had to search so hard for a line in this. I wanted to just do that, but since both of y'all, gave that up,
This was a bad guy.
I can't we can't all three of us. Somebody has to give a line. So what I went with is when when they discovered Heller dead, and Bond is like, looks like he came to a dead end. I mean, like that was the only other line in the movie that made me chuckle from Bond
Because
himself.
that was
It
a good line. He came to a dead end.
Yes,
I mean,
and-
come on. Y'all thought the line, "Oh, he was on his way to a funeral," was hilarious.
Well, again, Dave, that's the reason I had to give it. But it's just, okay. So now that we've done
It was okay.
one-liners, we can we're gonna get to overalls, right? I'm gonna start this off. You know what the problem with this movie was? This movie was actually a pretty good movie. This movie was not a Bond movie. This movie
It
and and I blame that solely on Timothy Dalton, to be honest, right? He just did not deliver as a Bond. If I watched this movie, if you call this movie anything, if you called it if you call this, I don't know, drugs in the keys. Drugs in the keys, I would have been like,
Mission
oh,
Impossible 2.
okay, cool.
Oh, this is
You had
definitely the
named
theme of
him-
Mission Impossible.
right. It is.
Miami Vice.
I was like, cool. I would have enjoyed this movie. I would have watched this movie, and I would not have any expectations. And I'd be like, wow, what a cool movie. But from the beginning of the movie, they set it up as this over the top. Well, in my opinion, this over the top, and it was crazy and like too much stuff going on. And I think that as soon as the beginning of the movie was over, the middle and the second part of this movie were completely different. They were like grounded, real nitty gritty movies, and I really enjoyed that. And I felt bad in the beginning for judging it so quickly, because from the start I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna enjoy this, and I was just like, whatever. And then there's halfway through the movie, and I'm like, Sanchez is kind of a badass, like he's got. And his secret lair was like cleverly disguised. It wasn't like over the top secret lair. It was like
No.
it was and it spoke to, we're making fun of these idiots who think that they're like being religious and holy and spiritual quests when we're just selling fucking drugs. Like this is just a drug den, and it was very well put together. All of this stuff, whenever Sanchez was involved with things, there was a certain level of believability that he added to it that I really was like, I don't know why I'm signing on for him having a meditation center that's actually a drug den, and him getting into a submarine to get away from these people. Like, but for some reason, all these things seem okay when he does it, which I thought was crazy. But I think that this movie ended very different from how it started. Timothy Dalton just was not Bond. He didn't have lines. He wasn't suave. And I don't know if you guys thought the same thing, right? But I've noticed that whenever he was in a scene, even when he had like cool over the top stunts and stuff like that, he just always seemed like if he was flailing. And I mean, yeah, of course you're gonna flail when you're up in the air holding onto a plane, right? But when he's up in the plane, when he's running from something, when he's diving into something, he just not always just seems like if he was flailing. And I was just like, B, are you a spy or not?
I
Are you
did
James
not notice
Bond?
that at all.
Well,
I-
I
couple
just
moments.
noticed it.
Yeah.
He just always looks like if he's falling off of something and slipping, or he just never seemed calm, cool, and collected. And his face kind of always looked like surprised. Like even with the girls, right? He looked like surprised that they were attracted to him or something. And I was like, B, you're James Bond. And generally speaking, it annoys me how he just like walks in and they're like, oh, James. But like for his James Bond, he just seems surprised that the whole situation is going on. I think this is a good movie. I think Timothy Dalton just did not do that movie justice. Yeah, he was the weakest part of this movie to me. Also, the fact that my favorite parts of this movie were Sanchez and Q. Q was amazing in this movie, guys. Like he was so entertaining throughout. Every time he was on the screen, I was like, yeah, what's Q gonna do now? And the fact that he got like, and they're making jokes about him being a field agent and all sorts of nonsense. I loved it. It was so great to see Q like that. Him Q outshining James Bond is a serious problem for me.
Yeah.
I had serious
Agreed.
problems with that. I think if Timothy Dalton wasn't the Bond, I think that I would have given this movie a much higher score. But as it stands, it didn't feel like a James Bond movie because James Bond was lacking. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you got to give a rating.
oh yeah.
Oh, I thought we were all give ratings at the end. All right, well I'll do it. I think without Timothy Dalton, I would give this a 7. With Timothy Dalton, which it is, I'm gonna give it a 6. And if I rated this movie just off of the beginning, I would have given it a friggin' 4. But I started to really get into the movie. Even when they had like the ninja assassins, I feel like if they did a very smart thing where they're like, oh, there's this level of craziness, and they just killed it all. They just like 100% murdered it. And I was like, yeah. You like introduced ninjas for like 2 seconds and you just killed them. That was awesome.
I can see you enjoying that part. Yeah.
Yeah. Even when they were talking about, oh, we have our man on the ground, right? And it was kind of like leaving intrigue of who would it be? It wasn't a big reveal. It was like you saw the man, and then 2 minutes later he was dead, because that's not what the story was about. The story was a grounded story. I like that. Yeah. Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, it was a grounded story, and so it's gonna get definitely high points for that. Villain was great. The Bond women were so. I agree that it didn't really seem like a Bond movie a little bit. It kind of just seemed like an episode of Miami Vice, like a really long episode or something. But so I definitely agree with that. Timothy Dalton, I'm not a huge fan of his Bond because he does play his Bond very more subtle, and it doesn't really get you excited. Like, it doesn't get me like cheering or rooting for him. Like, yeah, go Bond, go Dalton, yeah, man. But one thing I thought, in this movie, Bond really shines, I think, because Bond kind of like manipulates the villain,
Right.
makes him.
Yes. Good point.
And I thought that was like very well done. You don't really get to see that. At least I don't think you really get to see that often in Bond movies, but he's like manipulating the villain throughout, making this guy who's all about loyalty kind of doubt the people who are working around him, kind of making this guy think that he's going crazy a little bit.
Right.
So, and he's doing it in like very realistic ways, I thought, or I should say grounded ways. But so, and I thought Dalton played that really well. Like I found that very believable, like for Dalton's Bond. Like that's something that Dalton's Bond would do, right? Like just kind of maybe manipulate,
Right.
So yeah, it started out like a little bit over the top, I'll give you that. But it settled down and it had really good action scenes throughout. So overall, I'm going to give this one a 7 because, I do agree that, again, like it didn't really feel like a Bond movie. And I thought the ninja thing was a little bit unnecessary. Like ninjas, that was a little silly. So
They had
I'll give it a 7.
ninjas?
They did,
It did.
but they were literally in
Very
there
short
for
period of
2
time.
minutes. They're in there for 2 minutes, and then they just murdered all of them. It was great. I love to see that. Like it was like because they had to have it. It's a Bond movie, so they had to have like some sort of like stupidness, and then they just murdered it. And they're like, "Let's get back to the story." And I thoroughly appreciated that. Chris, you brought out a very good point. I love that about this. I love that about this, where he manipulated Sanchez, right? The thing about that, though, I really liked watching that, and I liked how like it played on Sanchez, and he was like, this guy's so loyalty is so important to him, and he doesn't know who to trust. But and I like the fact that Bond did it. I don't know if maybe I'm forgetting it, right? But there wasn't like a moment where like Bond kind of like threw it in his face, and he was like, and I got you to kill your men, and it was all me, like there wasn't
Right.
like a aha moment where he was getting his revenge off of
Yeah,
like showing him.
right at the end where don't you want to know why, and then he lights him on fire with a lighter he got from Felix Leiter, which
Yeah,
Oh,
that
Yeah.
wasn't enough for me, honestly, dude. Like I saw that, and so for me that scene was a wasted opportunity. It was like you killed the story with a poorly
Conclusion.
placed conclusion story device, or like there was no it, like if that were supposed to be a joke and a pun, it did not land. It was just like, oh, okay.
I don't think it was a pun. It was just I thought it was a
No,
good conclusion. Like I
but
thought
but that's
the where you see him infiltrate the facility, and then like Sanchez is worried about the cocaines in the trucks, and then it just you see Sanchez start to lose it because like Bond is just systematically destroying everything,
so
and that for me it doesn't need that aha moment because it's just like it's so systematic. It's just like this man is just getting destroyed.
true. But by not giving us that aha moment, there it loses its dramatics. It's like you do all of this stuff, and I know that you're doing that stuff because I just watched you do all this stuff, but there's no climax to it. He just sets him on fire, and okay, sure. I mean, he's a ball of flames, but there was no like dramatic climax where it's like, I got you back. You didn't say it. And in this situation, I guess it was yes, it is understood because you showed him something, but it wasn't enough to be like you didn't get your just desserts. Or I didn't feel like if you got your just desserts, you got the bad guy, right? But if this is like a serious personal vendetta, you didn't get that moment where you tell them with words, I got you. This is for Felix. You're dead because you killed my guy. Well, you didn't kill my guy because you went for my guy, and I didn't just get you. I got all of your men too, and I didn't even do it by killing all of your men. I got you to kill all your men, bitch.
I feel
Like
like the lighter scene does achieve that. It's just in an understated way.
exactly, and
Which is what
but
Chris was
that's
saying.
exactly
Is
what I'm
like
saying.
somehow Timothy Dalton just doesn't get us to root for him. Like even
Right.
in his dramatic moments, it's so subtle. It's okay, I guess.
That's the thing about subtlety. There's subtlety that's powerful, and then there's subtlety that is no one cares. It's not subtle at that point. It's just no one cares. And and to me, that was more about Sanchez than it was about James Bond. James Bond, yeah, again, just lacking for me.
What you think, Ramon?
I echo pretty much all that John said. Chris as well. I It just doesn't feel like a Bond movie. Any other actor insert here. All right, it doesn't feel like a 007 Bond movie. If it was 005
Oh.
Tim Dawson or something like that, sure. But it doesn't feel like James Bond 007. And that's what I say all the time. That's not what Timothy Dalton seems to me. I also say it about I guess, the latest James Bond now, where
Right.
he doesn't seem like Bond because he's before Bond was Bond. Timothy Dawson is playing Bond after he's Bond. After his wife died, him picking up the pieces, him being
We're definitely
his
going to talk
defense
about that when we
mechanisms.
get to the Daniel Craig movies.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
because we could pick at that for sure.
Yeah, but he's playing Bond after he's Bond. And you don't give me a line. You don't give me wit. You don't give me daggers. You just seem like Joe Smo, the double O, whoever. You're not double O, James Bond 007. You're not the one that Moneypenny is looking over. You're not the one that gives M the trouble with your wit, but you're still good at your job. You're just the pencil pusher to me. So that's why I'm, as John was saying, if it was another Bond at any point, I'd give it a 7 as well, but I'm landing on a 6 as well. Even the bad guys got lines for you and you don't even jab back.
Right.
Like that's disappointing to me. Even at the end where, once again, you light him on fire with a Felix lighter, you gotta make an impactful moment. And
right.
In all of his scenes, Timothy Dawson doesn't seem in control or impactful. He's just, I'm getting by. And it's at this point.
So, Rowan, I have a question for you, right? So you had the same problem with me with the lighter thing, right? After he did what he did, if he had like a badass line, would that have made any difference for you? If he dropped a cool line, summing up, I got you, and that was for Felix, would that have done anything for you? Yeah.
I guarantee you, any other Bond would have found a way to work a line in,
right.
And that would have just tied everything together. But Timothy Dawson, we're not expecting that. We're expecting, okay, you lit him on fire with the Felix lighter.
You
fully realized what happened? 50-50.
I mean, I thought that was actually a nice,
once again,
no line.
It's a nice touch. It's a nice touch.
Pretty cool touch.
I expect that in all other movies, all other action movies.
But you need, but it's a Bond movie, so you do need a little extra.
Yeah.
Like even if, it was rough.
Yeah, because once again, we've got our Bond criteria, and right now Timothy Dawson's Bond struggles to meet a couple of them. So
a lot of them.
Let's go, Dave. What are your thoughts?
So I'm gonna disagree with all of you here.
That's cool.
So starting with Timothy Dalton, I love Timothy Dalton's portrayal of Bond. I think it's unique out of all of them.
Because it's bad.
He was
bad.
He was before his time, so he was the most rough around the edges, which Daniel Craig then took. So the audience wasn't ready for it, so they went back to a little more campiness with Pierce. But also he feels most like he read the books in preparation for this role. I feel like he prepared for it the most, and I think it shows because he plays Bond. Like if James Bond was a real 007, I think Timothy Dalton makes it the most believable. And you could argue, oh, that's not as interesting. I hear you. I still find it interesting, and I think it's unique. Of all the actors that have played him, I think Timothy Dalton stands out, and not, in my opinion, not because it's bad, but because he brought something unique to the character, and I love that about his portrayal of Bond. And I'll say, like, I don't think his performance was as strong in this movie as it was in the first movie because he was more suave in Living Daylights. I think if he got a third movie, it'd be even better. But in this movie, he was driven by revenge, so I guess that kind of plays into it. I loved the climax at the end, like the tank chase. I thought that was really, really good. I think, honestly, I was thinking that might be one of the best climaxes so far. Because I can't really, in terms of climaxes, I'm like the tank chase and then the explosions. Like I'm trying to think what the other ones were. Like in
if you want to
In The Spy
argue,
Who Loved Me and For Your Eyes Only, it was the climbing the mountain, the shooting the guy who was sitting down. Like, I just think the tank chase was awesome. So like, gets props for that. I always remember the tank chase. I always remember the
Yeah.
scene where he spare guns the plane and then skis barefoot and gets on it. Like, they're memorable moments in this movie I never forget. I agree with you all. It does seem more like Miami Vice than a Bond movie, but that's kind of, they've done that before. Live and Let Die is a black exploitation movie, but they still make it feel like Bond. Like,
Right.
Live and Let Die still feels like a Bond movie. This movie, I guess, doesn't feel as much as a Bond movie. So I agree with you guys there. But for me, definitely an 8 out of 10. I still like it a lot.
okay,
Timothy Dalton
that's
is awesome. Go Timothy Dalton.
I think
I will say this. Hold on. Let me just make this one comment. Do you feel as if Timothy Dalton commands a room, though?
I think so. More so in the first movie. In the first movie, I felt like he was a presence, like a demanding presence. Like and then there are certain scenes where he does really well. For example, Roger Moore in Man with the Golden Gun slapped the girl Maud Adams. I can't remember who she was playing, and I didn't buy it. Like, Roger Moore wouldn't do that.
right.
Timothy
Yeah.
Dalton in this one feels he's been betrayed and people have died because of Pam, and is like very aggressive, and I totally buy it. And then I buy it again when he softens up towards her.
Right.
So
I get that. That's not being in control, but you feel as if he would command a room, because even in the situations where he's met the bad guys face to face, I don't feel as if he's seemed on par with them. That's my only issue. He doesn't seem on par with his villains.
There's one scene from the last movie where he seems more menacing and in control of that room than any other scene I can imagine.
But here's the thing: to command a room, you're not supposed to be menacing. You're supposed to be a secret agent. So you take control of it, but you don't use effectively brute force. You need to be more.
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. Yeah, no, I get you.
I want to like Timothy Dalton because he is the type of Bond that I like. Nitty grittier, and he cites a little bit more to the Sean Connery than the campy that is Roger Moore. So in that respect, I really do want to like him. But he doesn't get there though. Sean and Daniel Craig, there's a certain level of like they still seem like Bond. I'm gonna have to watch over the last movie because I remember not liking it. I don't even remember it that much now. And I feel like if 2 movies from now, I'm just gonna remember that I didn't think Timothy Dalton was Bond. He's a good actor, good action star, but Bond, I think not. And that's what it boils down for me. I do like the type of Bond that he does portray, but I think that he's what's wrong with that type of Bond is that when you lean into that type of Bond too much, it doesn't seem like Bond anymore. There's a certain level of suaveness that he just does not bring to the table.
And I would say, well, let me just add this one point, because they mentioned it, that he seemed like the one who did the most research as well, and he's the Bond.
Yeah,
but
I think he's the truest Bond. Like Bond.
Yeah, unfortunately, what the movies have set up is definitely not, according to you, because I haven't read the books. Definitely not what the books portrays. So it's taken on a life of its own.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well
yeah,
well
that's a good point.
Yeah.
He's.
But you could argue the same thing about Roger Moore. Like, Roger Moore leaned so far to like the comedic side, where like you could argue, and many people did say, whereas like, they had so many parodies of Bond, and Roger Moore, you could argue Roger Moore was parodying Bond.
A parody, and exactly.
So I mean, Timothy Dalton just did the same thing, but he was basically staying true to Bond on the page. Maybe not what Bond was established at that point, but Roger Moore kind of did the same thing, and he just did it because That's what Roger Moore was good at.
Right.
Had
And
nothing to do
I
with the
agree,
character
but
of Bond.
I agree, but it shows it just shows what is evolved into because Roger Moore, I don't know if it was received at the time better than Timothy Dalton, but for sure for me, I'm receiving Roger Moore's Bond much better than Timothy
Yeah,
Dalton.
Timothy Dalton's
Yeah.
Bond wasn't received well because it was too aggressive.
Yeah, I
Especially
think-
this one.
This
one wasn't received well.
I don't think it was an aggression thing. I genuinely think it was just that he didn't seem like Bond. There's aggression, yes, there's a lot of things involved, but he didn't bring it back together, you know. He didn't hit the mark. He played something and he played something well. He just didn't play Bond well.
Yeah, I think he was a victim of just, you know, if maybe his Bond was like the first Bond to go, then I think he would have been fine. But I think he was just a victim of just going behind Sean Connery and like you said, I mean, at that point, Bond, you know, we'd already established like an identity for what Bond is. So I think Timothy Dalton was a little bit of a victim of that, to be honest.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because I do think that there is a good movie here. I don't know if it's a good Bond movie.
Yeah, I agree.
That's fair.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
So overall, that movie got 6.75 out of 10. I don't have the rankings on me now, but that does seem very middle of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is a good movie. I didn't hate the movie. I thought that I was gonna hate the movie. I ended up enjoying the movie. It's just like the more that I watched it, I was like, yeah, this isn't really a Bond movie. This is a Sanchez movie. I'll definitely watch that movie again. But yeah. So what's the next one?
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye. I'm very excited for this.
Awesome.
If you
Oh, yeah.
guys don't know,
Oh,
like,
man.
I am so ready for this to get started. Yeah, it's gonna be
Seriously.
awesome. Hopefully, it won't take us a couple of months to, you know, do a
I got
review for
this.
this one.
I agree.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of time until No Time to Die. So
Yeah,
Oh,
they just keep pushing it back all the time.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, right? They filmed that movie. They finished filming that movie over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
By the time we see it, it'll be almost 3 years since they filmed what they're doing in the movie. It's crazy. It is
That is
absolutely
crazy.
crazy.
That is crazy.
Because, you know, they had the film ready to go at the end of 2019. It was actually some kind of licensing problem or some dispute, like business thing that stopped it from coming out at first. That was the cause of the first delay. And then every delay since was COVID. But the film was done. Film's been done forever. It's ridiculous.
You might just have it sitting there waiting, B. Daniel Craig gonna be in a nursing home, B, by the time they release that shit.
Yeah. Anyway, until next time.
So
Cheers, people.